Welcome to the Navigating My Crazy podcast. I'm Shayla. Navigating My Crazy is a weekly podcast created for moms trying to balance life, family, purpose, and wanting to improve their mental wellness. Our goal is to inspire conversations necessary to end the stigma associated with mental health and the unrealistic societal expectations related to being a mom. But most importantly, to create a community so that no mom ever feels alone as we all navigate this crazy thing called life together. Let's start this show. All right, so welcome to yet another episode of the Navigating My Crazy podcast. I am Shayla, the host, and this is the fourth episode in the marriage and mental health series. And this will be yet another solo episode where I will just give a quick update and also answer some of the questions that I've been getting since the marriage and mental health series has started. And there are some pretty interesting questions. Just wanted to share my responses. And then, of course, after the show airs, get what you guys think and then what your responses would be to some of the questions. All right, moms. So I'm so excited to announce that finally the Navigating My Crazy Success Planner for Busy Moms will be available for purchase next week on the Navigating My Crazy website, navigatingmycrazy.com. This particular planner was put together to help you gain control, get motivated, and reaffirm your purpose. Imagine a planner that houses your meal prep, grocery list, your schedule, affirmations, and it fits neatly inside of your purse. The planner was created with the needs of every busy mom in mind. So it's a perfect gift for any mom that you know. So be sure next week, navigatingmycrazy.com to get you and your best friend a copy of the Navigating My Crazy Success Planner for Busy Moms. Now let's get back to the show. All right, so let's get started. I'll first start off with some questions that I've received just to share because I think the questions and some of the responses are beneficial to others. So the first question was related to mom guilt and taking time for yourself. And I'll paraphrase the email that I received. It said, "Hi Shayla, they appreciated the last episode with my sister and I, how we talked about taking time for ourselves. And on that episode, Disha talked a lot about finding herself when she was 40. Her kids at this point now are adults. So the question was, I think it's easier when your kids are adults or like yourself when you have one child that's entering into the teenage years. I am a mother of a 3-year-old and a 5-year-old. So taking time for myself, although I know it's important, is extremely difficult. How do I manage?" So my response to that is you make yourself a priority. Just like you would schedule going to a doctor's appointment for the kids, just like you would schedule doing anything for the kids, making sure that they take a nap, making sure that they eat, making sure that their needs are taken care of. You need to ensure that there is time in your schedule for yourself to ensure that you are eating, that you are sleeping, that you are resting, that you are taking time for yourself. And it entails you asking for help. Whether it's from your spouse, from family members, from friends, from people at your church, whatever you need assistance with, you have to be willing to reach out for help. And I know that's where we as moms struggle because honestly, the only way to do it, especially with kids that small, is to ask for help. You can sleep when they sleep, take a nap when they take a nap. If you're a working mom, of course, that makes it difficult, but asking for assistance, telling people that you need help and making yourself a priority. And the guilt, unfortunately, I believe it'll always be there. But to me, it's just like eating a piece of chocolate cake. The desire will be there. And sometimes we talk ourselves out of eating the cake because, it's not healthy, you'll gain weight. But in essence, one piece of chocolate cake is not detrimental. It's the intake of lots of sugar. It's the intake of all these bad calories over time that makes it bad. But one piece of chocolate cake will not be a disaster. And that's the same for taking time for yourself. Saying no to things, saying no to your kids. I know at times Cam wants to go to basketball games. He wants to go to football games. He wants me to take him to the store. He wants this. He wants that. He wants to go places. And even when my older two kids were home, there was basketball practices, dance practices, football games, sleepovers, all of this stuff all the time that they wanted. And as parents, we hate to tell our kids no. But if you are exhausted and you are tired, taking time for yourself and telling the kids no, friends no, husbands no, family members no. And sometimes we have to tell ourselves no when we overextend ourselves to make sure that we make ourselves a priority. And so what are the things that you feel like you're missing? Are you not getting enough sleep? Are you not getting time to yourself? Are you not having time to exercise if that's something that you want to do, or read, or take care of a hobby, or paint, or sing, or just do the things that you used to love to do? Make it a priority, schedule time for it, and ask for help. You are important. And what that helps is you not being a volcano. The volcano effect is you building up all of this frustration, all of this resentment, you being tired, you being unhappy, and then it just explodes. And it's a mental health disaster. So making sure that you take care of yourself is important so that along the lines you're not angry, you're not blowing up at your spouse, you're not yelling at the kids, because it happens. When you're tired, you're aggravated, you haven't gotten enough rest, you haven't taken care of yourself, those times will come. So in order to not have the volcano effect, take care of yourself. All right. So another question was kind of personal, but I'm going to share it anyway. Now that you are separated and you're talking about divorce, does that mean that you are dating? Or do you feel that you should date when you're separated? I think it depends on the particulars of the separation, because there are different reasons to be separated, right? If you are taking time to reevaluate the relationship, to see where you guys stand, to kind of understand where everything is falling apart, then absolutely not, because you're working on fixing what you have. And the only way to determine if something can be fixed is to focus on fixing it. And you can't focus on fixing something if you are shopping for something new. So in those cases where you are supposed to be working on yourself or working on repairing the relationship, I would say absolutely no to dating. On the other hand, and I'm sure many will disagree, I feel that if both parties know that the relationship is over, and in cases where, just say for instance, like in the state of Louisiana where I live, if you have a minor child, there is a time period that you should be separated before you can actually file for divorce. And I'm not sure if it's a year. I think it depends on the situation, but I think it's 365 days. Pretty sure that's what the lawyer said that I talked to. So to me, in those cases, if both parties absolutely know that they want the divorce and they are in more of a waiting period for it to be finalized, then by all means, why would you not do whatever makes you happy during that period? And I say, do what makes you happy. If you find someone that's interesting to you and you want to get to know them better, and you know the relationship that you're in is over, and you know there will be no drama, then absolutely. But I think it takes two mature adults to make sure that that is handled in a way that causes no drama. And I think that's communication, and not saying that you have to ask your spouse or ex-spouse or separated from spouse permission. But I do think there is a conversation that should be had if possible, just to give the person a heads up that you're dating, just in case you run into each other at a restaurant or see other family members, then at least your spouse knows what's going on and it's not a surprise. But I think that if there are two mature individuals that no longer want to be in a relationship and they are in a holding period for legal reasons or other financial reasons, by all means, date. Life is too short to be unhappy. That's my take. Many will not agree, but it's totally up to you. But in my case, if it were me and that was my particular situation, I'm dating. I've been in the relationship that I'm in for 17 years. I'm 40 years old. I feel like life's too short not to be happy. And if I find someone that I'm interested in and want to get to know them better, then going out to dinner or lunch or for drinks to get to know them better. And I was able to have a discussion with my husband, and the understanding is that we will not be together. We are filing for divorce, and that he understands that I'm seeing someone, and I understand that he's, seeing someone, even if he's not. Again, maturity, conversation, and making sure that it is drama-free, because that's the last thing you need in your life when you're going through things like that and you have children, is drama. No drama. Strictly no drama. That was an interesting question. All right. So another more serious question was about letting go. It's reasons to stay and reasons to consider not proceeding with a marriage. And so one of the questions was, how did you know when you wanted to separate? I just knew. It was like a switch inside of me that flipped and decided that it was time for us to reevaluate if we still wanted to be married. I believe sometimes when you've been with a person or in a marriage for an extended period of time, you get comfortable. You're not necessarily happy, but you're comfortable in your roles. But then things occur and you realize that you are not happy in a situation. Or if there are something that violates the vows that you've taken, and you are deciding if now that the contract of marriage, which is the vows that you've taken, have given to each other, has now been broken, then you have to decide if that contract needs to be reevaluated and if you can continue. Because to me, a relationship is like any other relationship, a business relationship, a friendship. And once certain things are broken or violated, then you have to reevaluate if the decision to remain married is still a good idea. People change over time. And as you grow and mature, sometimes the things that you've accepted at different mental levels, different spiritual levels, different just levels that you are in your life, the expectations change. Your expectations grow of a person. For instance, myself, I struggled with self-esteem for years, not feeling worthy. If you bring those broken pieces into a relationship, and then as those pieces begin to heal, then your expectations and what you expect to receive from people change. Being able to communicate well as you change and mature is important. But also the person that you're with may also either be going through a metamorphosis for themselves or not. They may still be the person that you met 20 years ago. And you have to decide. You both have to decide what the compromise, if any, will be in order to make the relationship work. It's going to be different for every single relationship. My advice will forever be, you have to make the decision that's right for you and your family, but do not remain in the situation just because you're comfortably unhappy, because that's not good for anyone's mental health, for that of your children, for that of yourself, for that of your spouse. Because when you're unhappy in a situation, as much as you try to hide it, It's never hidden. The unhappiness manifests in so many different ways. At the end of the day, what are you teaching your children about relationships? What are you teaching your children about marriage? But if the person is your best friend, if the person still, is the first person that you want to tell good news to, or the person that you want to unload and cry or get ideas from, then you should make sure that you're working on maintaining that relationship. So, of course, so many variables go into marriage, separation, divorce, reconciliation, all of those things. And it's going to be a case-by-case basis. It's about prayer and making sure that you are at peace with the decisions that you make. But don't stay in a situation just because you're embarrassed or you want to save face or you don't want to hear what other people have to say or you don't want to be mocked. All of that stuff. People will always have something to say, no matter what you do. So make sure that the decisions that you make are for you and no one else. Okay, so another question is it possible to be married and not live in the same house with your spouse? Absolutely. There are people that are in the military that are married. There are people that for many different reasons don't live in the same house. I think in those cases, it's about trust. And the foundation of the relationship has to really be heavily based on trust. You cannot be in a relationship with someone and not live with them and not trust them. To me, that's just pointless. But different people have different reasons for marriage. Are you marrying for love? Are you marrying for security? Are you marrying for Social Security? So all of that comes into effect. Again, I feel like everybody's relationships, situationships, marriages are different. And it's about communication and being open and honest with the person that you're with. Because I always tell my husband this. I feel like the person that you marry should be the person that, my example, that I can take my wig off for, that I can take my makeup off for, that they see my scars, they see me naked, they see just the bare bones of me, and I'm comfortable with that, and they love me in spite of that. I may look good when I go out. I might have on my mascara. I might have my curly hair and be different things for different people. But the person that I come home to, I should be able to let my hair down or take it off and be able to relax and be comfortable with them. And if I can't do that, then I shouldn't be with that person. And I want the person that I'm with to be able to do the same thing. If you can't give me the real you, then I don't want it. And that's just me. But again, it's really based on what your relationship is for. Are you in it for love? Are you in it for security? All of those reasons propel the relationship in different directions. It keeps your relationship going for different reasons. And so you have to really sit down and understand, what are you needing from your spouse? And do they have the ability to give it to you? And if you aren't able to vocalize and ask those questions and communicate, I strongly encourage you to seek counseling. You guys to seek out a mediator to help you with those discussions. Having one in our case has really made the transition, as we transition, better. We're able to get the feedback from a third party, because sometimes we hear things that a person is not saying because it fits into the narrative that we think they're trying to give. But having a third party helps balance out the conversation. Sometimes it helps take the anger out and be able to hash it out and really be able to listen and understand what each other has to say about certain situations. So by all means, seek out counseling, seek assistance, and individual and couples counseling and counseling for the kids. But you have to understand what you need. You have to understand what your family needs. And the only way that you understand what you need is if you understand that yourself and what you need. So by all means, take time for yourself. Understand what you need. What are you looking for in a spouse? What are you needing from in your spouse? Communicate that to your significant other. And if you guys are not willing to compromise and give each other what you need, then reevaluate if the relationship is worth salvaging. Are you willing to be in a relationship where you're not happy? What sacrifices are you willing to make to be in a relationship? Because relationships are sacrifice. But you shouldn't be sacrificing yourself, your self-esteem, your happiness, physical, mental, emotional abuse, manipulation, any of that stuff should not be a part of your relationship. And if there are, strongly reevaluate if you want to be there. So that was just a little update as I answered questions. I've had so much feedback from the marriage and mental health series. I think it was necessary for me. And as I did it for me, I realized that it was necessary for so many other moms, families, couples that are experiencing the highs and the lows of marriage. And I'm encouraged by stories like Miss Pat's and by my sister and Shane's and some of the other stories that I see shared in some of the marriage groups that I'm still a part of and have no plans on leaving. Even the relationship that I'm in with my husband, just understanding where we're going or being open-minded. I had our future completely planned out, and it was the changes that caused me anxiety because, again, I had our life completely planned out up until the burial. So now it all has changed, and just being willing to ride the wave of the change, be open-minded and willing to understand that as I change, as he changes, as we continue to move, if I'm Miss Shaw or Miss Varner or Miss whatever it is, it's okay. And as long as I'm happy, everyone's opinion, it really doesn't matter. As long as I'm happy, everything else will fall in line. All right. So this wraps up the separated portion of the marriage and mental health episode. It was more of a Q&A. My husband and I are still in a separated phase and really focusing on in just the maturity that we see our son, who will be 13 on Friday, going through, and just making sure that he understands. Still trying to figure it out. And I just feel like we don't have a timeline. I'm not trying to rush anything. I want to make sure that as much as possible, I and my son come out as normal as possible from this process. And that's my priority. So I will pray for those of you who have asked for prayer. I think that is what is definitely needed in a lot of cases. And again, thank you so much for supporting the podcast. The focus for navigating my crazy is mental wellness. Physical, mental, spiritual, emotional health is of utmost importance. And in order to be mentally well, you have to take care of your whole self. And that's what I will continue to encourage every mom to do. Take care of your whole self. Because when parts of you are neglected, it seeps into everything. It seeps into the way you work, the way that you take care of your home, the way that you take care of your children, the way that you're able to maintain relationships. So making sure that you're physically, mentally, emotionally, and spiritually well is important. And that's why I always encourage moms to, and I know it sounds hard and it sounds selfish, to put yourself first. But if you don't put yourself first, and you're constantly looking out for your kids, and you're constantly looking out for everyone else, and you're getting the short end of the stick, you will see the behaviors manifesting in the way that you interact with your spouse and your children. And if you're not well, you cannot continue to maintain a well relationship as a mother, as a wife, as a friend, as an employee, as an entrepreneur, whatever your routes are. In order to maintain a healthy balance, you have to fit yourself into the equation. So mental wellness is the goal. And as long as we're working toward the goal, then you're including yourself in the equation. So continue to do so. Thank you for listening to the Navigating My Crazy podcast. Don't forget to send all of your questions to questionswithan@navigatingmycrazy.com, or you can complete the form on our website at navigatingmycrazy.com/contact. Also, join the community and chime in on the conversations by liking and following Navigating My Crazy on Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter. Subscribe and rate us 5 stars on iTunes or your favorite podcasting platform. Moms, have a great week and get ready for our next Talk It Out Tuesday.